Hari Om. Starting with invocation, let us chant from verses 51 to 55 of Atma Bodha. Om Pratah Smarami Hridi Samsfuradatma Tattvam Sache Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam Yasvapna Jagara Sushuptamaveti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha Bahya Nitya Sukha Saktim Hitvatma Sukha Nirbritaha Gatastha Deepa Vasvastaha Svantareva Prakashate Upadhistopi Tadharmaihi Alipto Vyomavan Munihi Sarvavin Mudhavatishtet Asakto Vayuvaccharet Upadhi Vilayad Vishnau Nirvishesham Vishen Munihi Jale Jalam Viyadyomni Tejas Tejasiva Yatha Yallabhadna Paro Labhaha Yat Sukhana Param Sukham Yajnanatna Param Jnanam Tad Brahmyetyavadharayet Yad Drishtva Na Param Drishyam Yad Bhutva Na Punarbhavaha Yad Jnatva Na Param Jneyam Tad Brahmyetyavadharayet.
Pratasmarami hridi samspuradaatmatattvam Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim turiyam Yat swapna jagara sushuptamaveti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sangaha. We continue from verse number 54 onwards.
Yallabhatna paro labhaha Yat sukhana param sukham Yajnanatna param jnanam Tad brahmyetyavadharayet Yallabhatna paro labhaha Yat sukhana param sukham Yajnanatna param jnanam Tad brahmyetyavadharayet.
Realize that Brahman, beyond its attainments, there is no greater attainment. Beyond its bliss, there is no greater bliss. Beyond its knowledge, there is no greater knowledge. Realize that Brahman, beyond its attainment, there is no greater attainment. Beyond its bliss, there is no greater bliss. Beyond its knowledge, there is no greater knowledge. The topic from verses 54 to 64 talks about the nature of Brahman. And if you read the last word of this verse, Tad Brahmeti Avadharayet, Tad Brahmeti Avadharayet, you will find this Tad Brahmeti Avadharayet repeated again and again and again in all these verses, meaning know this to be, realize that Brahman, realize that Brahman, know that Brahman, know this to be Brahman, know this to be Brahman. They keep repeating it again and again and again, the 10 verses. So the topic is the nature of Brahman. Assertion, negation, renunciation, meditation to self-realization is what we studied previously. The assertion and negation, and then the renunciation, meditation, self-realization. What is the nature of Brahman? 10 verses he is repeating. That's why it's called Atma Bodha. Tad Brahmeti Avadharayet, Tad Brahmeti Avadharayet, because he is talking about Brahman again and again and again. Brahman, Atman are all synonyms. They are all used synonymously. He talks about it again and again and again. Now we come to we start with this verse 54. Realize that Brahman. What is that state? Beyond its attainment, there is no greater attainment. Beyond its bliss, there is no greater bliss. Beyond its knowledge, there is no greater knowledge. A comparison is given. Having attained it, there is no greater attainment. Beyond its bliss, there is no greater bliss. Beyond its knowledge, there is no greater knowledge. A special technique called Tatastha Lakshana is used. A special technique called Tatastha Lakshana is used. And what is the Tatastha Lakshana? A method by which a unknown permanent object is pointed out by a means of a known impermanent object. It's called Tatastha Lakshana. Examples sonna easy ah purinjirum. A row of identical houses, ellam ore madiri irukudhu. You want to find out Rama's house. Where is Rama's house? And the kaka ukkandirukudilla, that is Rama's house. You see the crow sitting there, that is Rama's house. This is called Tatastha Lakshana. Are you able to follow? Rama's house is permanent. The crow sitting there is impermanent, for the crow will fly away, no? So, by pointing out a known impermanent object, something, an unknown permanent object is explained. Okay, sir, this example is okay. Tatastha Lakshana, Rama and houses. Rama and houses, all right. But how does it connect to the verse? How it connects to the verse is this. The human beings go from the basics. The human being pursuits is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The four Purusharthas, it's called. all human beings' attainments, all human beings' search, all human beings' action is towards these four purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Moksha is not known, the unknown permanent is moksha. The unknown permanent is moksha, the known impermanent is dharma, artha, kama. By pointing out the dharma, artha, kama and the impermanency of it, that is the moksha is explained. He wants to explain the non-permanent of the purusharthas that a human being seeks, pursues. What is permanent? At least in this class, theoretically, we have to say moksha. Though we may not believe in it, though we may not be convinced about it, but we still say theoretically, what is permanent? Moksha is permanent, and that moksha is unknown. So how do you point out the unknown permanent object? Yeah, difficulty. Look at the difficulty of them. Unknown permanent. To explain the unknown permanent, they give something which is a known permanent, a known impermanent. Abde opposite. Unknown permanent solradhukku, they use something which is unknown permanent. No, the opposite, known impermanent. So the known impermanent is used. This method of teaching, this method of analysis is called Tatastha Lakshana. What is it that is known impermanent? Dharma, artha, kama. This dharma, this artha, this kama, all these are known, and all that is known is impermanent. All that you can know, all that you know in these three, this dharma, artha, kama is impermanent. Moksha is permanent. So by explaining these three, moksha gets established. What is it? What is the nature of dharma, artha, kama? We have seen that any number of times. The first quality of dharma, artha, kama is what? The first nature. First quality of dharma, artha, kama is what? Agamapayinaha anityaha. They arrive and they come and go. All these comes and goes. First thing about them is they arrive and depart. We have seen that in a few classes back. We saw that in detail. That which arrives and departs. Arrival means we'll have a departure, blah blah blah. Whatever we saw, whatever we discussed on that day. So first thing about that is arrives and departs. Second is they do not give permanent. They do not give permanent peace. They do not give permanent sukham, permanent peace, permanent security, permanent happiness. They don't give. How much ever you have, they will not give you the sense of security, the sense of safety. Yeah. I feel unsafe. You got up? I feel unsafe. What do you mean you feel unsafe? Because the nature of dharma, artha, kama is you will always feel unsafe only. Vaccine comes. Now, is the vaccine safe? Yeah. First is you want the vaccine. Now the problem is the vaccine safe? Sir, adallam corporate udeya, all this is this corporate's strategy, sir. They created the virus and then they found the vaccine also. For how can they find the vaccine in 10 months? It's all corporates business, sir. Disease comes unsafe, vaccine comes unsafe, birth comes unsafe, death happens. So in relation to everything in the world, there will not be this peace, security, this happiness. Then another quality, whatever happiness they give is pseudo happiness. They seem to give some, they don't give sorrow straight away, they don't give pain straight away. If they can give pain straight away, na Bhagavad Gita class, Atmavada class, we will be born enlightened. We don't need Shankaracharya, we don't need any, we will be, every human being will be born enlightened. But it gives a sense of peace, it gives a sense of security, it gives a sense of happiness. What do you call that? It's pseudo. Pseudo, na? Pseudo is a very refined word. A very normal, ordinary word is fake. Clear? Refined word. Clear? See, you have a conversation with our Narayan ji, all his vocabulary will be very refined words he will use. Clear? That is his culture. He will use refined words. Clear? I don't use so much refined words, sir. Refined words alone, you are not, people are not able to understand. So pseudo is a refined way of saying, the normal, the ordinary way of saying it is fake. It's a fake happiness. Faking happiness. Faking happiness means it appears to be happiness, but in truth there is no happiness. It's mithya. These are all this is what arrives and departs, do not give permanent peace, security, happiness. They are fake. It's mithya. All this is the qualities of, all these are qualities of what? Known impermanent. All these are qualities of the known impermanent. What is the known impermanent? The crow on Rama's house. Identical. All houses are identical. You are confused. You say, what is? All the exteriors are the same. The paintings are the same. Everything is the same. Everything looks alike. How do you figure out numbers? There's no numbers. So how do you figure out Rama's house? See the crow sitting there on one of the house? You say, yes, that is Rama's house. You go near, the crow flies away. Rama's house? Rama's house is there. Yeah. The known impermanent crow gave you the indication of the unknown permanent. What is the known impermanent? The dharma artha kama is the known impermanent. And what is the nature of dharma artha kama? It arrives and departs. Do not give permanent security, peace, happiness. 3 is fake, pseudo. 4th is mithya. This is Tatastha Lakshana. Now, if we go into with this background, if we go into the verse, it becomes easy to follow what the verses say. First thing he says, Yellabhat na aparaha labha. Yellaba na paro labha. Beyond its attainment, there is no greater attainment. Beyond its attainment, there is no greater attainment. What is it? To put it very simply, after all worldly accomplishments, the question remains the same. What next? Are you able to follow? All worldly accomplishments, greatest of accomplishment, doesn't matter. Greatest of accomplishment. The question remains the same. What is the question? Okay, sir. What next? What next? What next? It goes on and on and on. After realizing Brahman, na aparaha labhaha. After attaining this, there is no what next. There is no what next. Are you able to follow? Beyond its attainment. Everything other than Brahman, being finite in nature, can give only finite satisfaction. Anything finite cannot give you infinite status. Finite can give only finite, and everything of the world is finite. The numbers doesn't make any difference. It can be 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, lakh, crore, 10 crore, 100 crore, 1000 crores. Doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference, because finite can never give infinite result. Meaning, you are seeking infinite satisfaction, you are seeking infinite security, you are seeking infinite happiness, and you seek it from that which is finite. What you are seeking is infinite security. What you are seeking is infinite happiness. What you are seeking is infinite status. But that infinite status is sought after in something which is finite. Yallabha naparo labha. After realizing this, that thing stops. What is it that stops? What? What next? Dependna, sir. Holiday over. Holiday start or varaikum holiday. And holiday comes to an end. After what? What next? Go back to work. Work. And then what next? Holiday. What next? This is you go to one, you leave it, and you will go to the next. After all worldly attainments, accomplishments, we ask this question, what next? And this what next is what we think is fueling our growth. We always believe this question, what next, is what is fueling our growth. This question, what next, is what is driving our growth. What growth have we achieved in 5,000 years? What growth have we achieved from Atma Bodha's time to our time? Inna growth achieve pannirukrom. Zoomle we are saying don't get stressed avladha. What is it? What have we achieved? What have we achieved? Through Zoom, we are sitting and saying, don't get greedy, don't get stressed, don't be selfish. That didn't change. Every generation is taught the same thing. Have you ever observed? Every generation is taught the same thing. And that generation also believes that we are grown from the previous generation. What has grown? The way we dress has grown, changed. The way we communicate has grown. the way we travel has grown. இதெல்லாம் சேஞ்ச் ஆகுது. Whether can changes be called as growth? We have changed. Can changes be called as growth? We don't think. Can changes be called as growth? We have changed a lot, but growth as such didn't happen. If you can understand this difference, you know what he is talking about. We have changed. Don't misunderstand the changes to be growth. Why? Because we are still asking the same question, what next? The same greed, the same worry, the same anxiety, the same fear, the same insecurity, all that hasn't changed. In that way, people have this misunderstanding. Changes are seen as growth. Sir, from bullock cart to motorcycle to aircraft to bullet train, Nalamu train, bullet train, bullet, I don't know what all. Isn't it growth? Sir, previously, sir, 15 years back. Why 15 years back? If 5 years back, if this corona came, how we could have had these Zoom classes? We all will be sitting at home. Sir, I think should have come 10 years back. 15 years back, it should have come. Everybody is locked up in their houses and no way that you can contact, communicate with anybody. You get some chances to introspect. Nothing is happening. No changes have happened. But can these changes be called as growth? Are you able to follow? Misunderstanding. Changes are misunderstood as growth, just as sacrifices are misunderstood as compromises. See, today's generation, they say, I don't compromise. Sacrifices are misunderstood as compromises. I understand the limitation of the person. I don't like a few attributes and qualities in the person, but I continue to live with that person. The other person tells me, the new generation will tell me that. What does the new generation tells me? I can't live the way that you are all living a compromised life. I don't want to live a compromised life. What would you call that? Can you follow? Changes are misunderstood as growth. Sacrifices are misunderstood as, when we say do some sacrifice, they say I will not. Are you able to see the difference? Worry and anxiety and problems, everything remains the same. Yallaba naparo labha. After attaining this, what next? Doesn't happen. What next? That's where in some other session I said, you contact for happiness or you contact with happiness. You contact for contentment or you contact with contentment. Naparo labha. Are you able to follow? Beautiful it is. Yallava naparo labha. After attaining this, there is nothing. There is nothing higher. See, to this generation, everybody who comes for some advice, I keep saying them, my father and mother lived they compromised, sir. Why do I have to compromise? Why do I have? I said they didn't compromise, they You can call it as compromise and make it look ugly, or you can call it as sacrifice and understand the reality behind it. Girl says, oh, I don't like my partner. I don't like my husband. I want divorce. I said, no, ma, no. Does your mother like your father? They also don't like. No, I said, your mother also doesn't like your father. Your grandmother also didn't like your grandfather. But they all continued. No, wait, no. That is they all compromised, sir. It's not a compromise. It's not a compromise. It is sacrifice. It's not known. Why? In and through all these human accomplishments, in and through all these human things, one question that is asked, what is it? And that question remains the same always. What is that one question that remains the same always? What next? What next? What next? And if you say, when is enough? When is enough? Enough. Is there a point at all? No, sir. Abdillam point vechamna, we will not grow at all. If we have to grow in life, that point should not exist. Yallaba naparo labaha. After gaining Brahman, attainment is a struggle. All struggles comes to an end. Yallabha naparo labaha. Beautiful is this first one. Beyond its attainment, there is no greater attainment. And then comes the second one. Yat sukam na aparam sukam. After attaining this, yat sukam na aparam sukam. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he keeps talking about this. I'm just giving an example from the recently concluded chapter. The recently concluded chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 35. Sir, Atmabodha Vandala, we forget Bhagavad Gita. Don't connect it like that. When we come to Atmabodha, we know only Atmabodha. When we go to Bhagavad Gita, we know only Bhagavad Gita. We just finished it in verse number 35, Bhagavad Gita. Yajñātvāna punarmoham evam ñāsyasi pandava ena bhutanya seshena atmanyato mayi. Knowing this, you shall not get deluded again. Knowing this, you shall not get deluded again. Knowing this, you shall not get deluded again. I'm getting a pop-up saying that my internet connection is poor.
It's okay, sir. It is okay.
Okay, because I'm getting a pop-up. This is the third time it has come. Your internet connection is unstable. Your internet connection is unstable. It's
audio,
okay.
Video is okay, sir. Audio, video, both are okay.
Okay. Then good. Okay. Then good. I'm thinking everybody is listening. Class was so good today because we couldn't hear anything. Today's class was like Dakshinamurti and the Sanat Kumara's classes. Good. Huh? Yat sukam na aparam sukam. Yat sukam na param sukam. What does that mean? Beyond its bliss, there is no greater bliss. Yajñātva nāparam jneyam. Jnānāt aparam jnānam. Jnanat aparam jnanam. Tad brahmetiti avadharayet. Tad brahmetiti avadharayet. So first I explained Yallabad naparam labam. Now we will discuss Yat Sukam naparam Sukam. There are two types of Sukam. One Sukam arising out of contact. Another type of Sukam arising out of transcending. There are two types of happiness. One happiness is arising out of contacts. When the sense organs contacts the sense objects, there is a happiness. When the mind contacts the respective emotions, there is happiness. When intellect contacts the respective field of knowledge, there is happiness. So one kind of happiness is born out of contact. Appears wonderful, but resulting in pain. This contact-born enjoyments appears beautiful, but in reality, what it is? Pain only. In reality, it is pain. So one type of Sukam. There is another kind of Sukam. What is the other kind of Sukam? The other kind of Sukam is a joy out of transcending. A joy out of transcending. This is what he calls as Atma Sukham, Moksha Ananda. The Moksha Ananda, the joy of liberation, is because it is an everlasting bliss. Why? Because it is not born out of contact. Why Moksha Ananda is different in quality? Because it is not born out of any contact, it is born out of recognition of your own nature. A joy that is got out of recognizing your nature. Yat Sukam na aparam Sukam. Aparam means lower. Yat Sukam na aparam Sukam. Meaning, beyond its bliss, there is no greater bliss. Third, knowledge. Yajñātva naparam yajñānān naparam jnānam. After gaining this knowledge, there is no greater knowledge. In accomplishment, you ask what next? All worldly things, the question remains. What is the question? What next? The happiness you get. Question still remains. What is the same question there also? What is the same question? Next happiness. Similarly, in knowledge, you gain some knowledge and then immediately you ask the next, the more. So, all these worldly pursuits, question remains the how much ever you accomplish, question remains the same. What is the question? What? What next? What next? What next? And this what next is that which drives the human being to pursue the dharma, artha, kama. All the worldly, all the materialistic pursuits is driven by this question of what? What next? What next? What next? You get something, and that getting keeps the question alive. What is the question? What next? One business achieved, attained. Now the question is, what is the next? I have read one book. Then the question is, what is the next book, sir? Atma Bodha, we will start from verse number 1. Abdina, everybody will simply disappear. So we have to give another book. Yeah. Why? Because we already, what next? What next? Bhaja Govindam. Sir, we know that Bhaja Govindam already, this Bhaja Govindam Atma Bodha and all, we know, can we do Ashtavakra Gita, sir? Can we do Yoga Vasishta, sir? Can we do Bhagavatam? Can we do Ramayana? Can we do Mahabharata? And then Netflix serial? I don't know. What next? What next? What next? It doesn't. That what next always remains unanswered. Are you able to follow? The what next remains unanswered, and that what next drives you into activity, and getting that and getting that doesn't give you any form of satisfaction, contentment, security, peace, happiness, whatever be it. Verse number 54, he says, Ellabo naparo jnanam tat brahmediti avadharayet. Once you gain this Brahman, once you gain this knowledge of Brahman, once you gain this Atma Vidya, once you gain this Brahma Vidya, tat brahmeti iti avadharayet. Tat brahmeti iti avadharayet. For the next 10 verses, you will be hearing this word. Tat brahmeti iti avadharayet. You will be hearing it again and again and again. The internal sense of bankruptcy does not go away. Avladhan he's saying. Irrespective of what you have, irrespective of whatsoever you have, the internal sense of void, emptiness. Yeah. Technical word is void, emptiness. Allah. Modern day terminology, the internal sense of you feel you are bankrupt. You feel you are bankrupt always, irrespective of what you have. The sense of bankruptcy doesn't leave you. Or there is a fear that you may become bankrupt tomorrow. Therefore, save as much, hoard and save, accumulate as much as you can. Why? Because today you may not be bankrupt, but tomorrow, definitely. Yeah. Void, emptiness, these are technical words. How do you explain it in the way that the modern person can understand? Modern wise one can understand. Modern wise one can understand bankruptcy. No. They say, I am broke. I am bankrupt. Imagine you are feeling bankrupt 24/7. What is that? That's what they call as the sense of worldly achievements. The sense of worldly achievements make you feel what happens to these people. Chapter 9, verse 21, Bhagavad Gita again. Tektam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. Chapter 9, verse 21. Tektam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. Having enjoyed the vast heaven, the world, with their merits exhausted, they come back to this world. Gatagatam kama kaman labante. Gatagatam means punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. From that word Bhagavad Gita, Gatagatam, Shankaracharya calls it as punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Gatagatam, beautiful word. Inna verse number pasonna, nane marandita.
21.
Chapter 9. See that. Gatagatam, the word. Beautiful is the word. They going and coming. Gatagatam means going and coming. Going and coming. Yeah. Baba says that, no, in this movie, Gatham, Gatham, Adan. Gata, Gatam, Len, on the Adan, Gatham, Gatham. He says that no, in one of his movies, and for Benji might not know what we are talking as Rajinikanth. Yeah, Rajinikanth is our enlightened movie actor in this country. Rajinikanth, yes, Rajinikanth is our Shankaracharya, Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Swamiji, Ramatirtha, all the enlightened masters you put together in one form, that is Rajinikanth, And that man in one of the movies says, Gatham, Gatham. From chapter 9, verse 21, he says, Gatham, Gatham. Tat brahmetiti avadharayet. Whatsoever the accomplishments are, whatsoever the attainments are, whatsoever the achievements are, whatsoever the sense of security is, it's still what? What next, sir? What next? Another round of battle. What next? Another round of battle, another round of getting hit, another round of stress and strain, and then coming and asking what to do now. Nothing can be done. Get into another round. Clear? This is the life of Naraka. This is the life of Naraka. You are thrown into the boxing ring. You are thrown into the boxing ring, and the other fellow keeps knocking, boxing you. One more hit, you will die. To that extent, you will be tortured. And then one more hit, you will die. Immediately, the doctor will come. What the doctor will come and what the doctor will do, apply balms, medication, everything. You will be perfectly fit, hale, healthy, normal, ready to charge, fully charged. For what? Fully charged for what? Aparna, another round. Yeah, another round. Another round. Box. One more hit. That's how Naraka is described. Huh? You die here, you go to Naraka. And what they do in Naraka? They poke and poke. One more poke, you will die. Immediately the divine doctor will come. Not our doctors, in the worldly doctors, the divine doctor will come. He will apply balms. Instantly you will be fit. All right, normal, fully charged, energized. And then you say, Abada, now what? Lord Yama says, another round. What is another round? Another round of, this is the Gatham. Yallabho naparo labha yatsukhan naparam sukham yajnatvad naparam jnanam tadbrahmetiti avadharayet. All this comes to an end. That's where you find the Puranic stories talking about Indra feeling insecure. Indra is the god of gods, the lord of gods. The lord of gods himself feels insecure, meaning how much ever you attain and go to that highest place, even there is all this continues. You leave everything and go. Yeah. I want to be known as the best student. Yeah. Insecurity there, because when I see somebody who's better than me, I start feeling worry. So I left everything. Even remember the Last Supper, Jesus Christ's life, the Last Supper. You know what was the question that was asked to Jesus Christ in the Last Supper? Not Brahma Vidya. They didn't ask him about Atman Brahman. They asked him, who is the best student? Who is your best student? Jesus Christ said, I never had any student. Then only I can say who's the best. No. First of all, there has to be a student. Then only I can say who's the best. There is no best student. Peter held on to Jesus Christ's feet and said, announce to the whole world that I am your best. Bible says. What did Christ say? In a matter of few hours, you will deny me thrice, he said. Before the cock crows, you will deny me. You will deny me thrice. And he denied him thrice. Why? Because irrespective of wherever you go, whatsoever the greatest status you achieve, the sense of fear, insecurity, unsafety, all that remains the same. It doesn't change. And by changing the person, by changing the environment, by changing the country, by changing the government, by changing the body and getting into another body, nothing changes. Shankaracharya's advice is take Brahma Vidya and see it. No. You have been experimenting with Dharma, Artha, Kama for Janmas after Janmas after Janma, you are trying that. Why not try Brahma Vidya? Now, experiment with it. I'm ready to experiment, sir, but after I finish off everything, I will come and experiment. I'm willing to experiment, but let me finish. That's my, no. Just waiting for my grandchildren to get married and settled. After I settle them, who? Grandchildren. Huh? After settling the grandchildren, I will come to Brahma Vidya. Yeah. By the time you settle the grandchildren, 100 great-grandchildren will come. Yeah. By the time you settle them, you are unsettled. And how can you settle? Anything around you? Yallabha naparo labham, yatsukha naparam sukham, yajnanam naparam jnanam, tat brahmetiti avadharayet. Tat brahmetiti avadharayet means realize this, realize this, realize this. Physical body, the game, the materialistic. Emotions, the bliss. Intellect, the jnana. The three things. Are you able to connect? At the level of the body, the material gains. At the level of the mind, the emotions. At the level of the intellect, the knowledge. What next question? Remains at the level of the body, the mind and the intellect. Once you gain this Brahma Vidya, once you gain this Atma Vidya, once you realize Brahman, what comes to an end? All these comes to an end. This is verse number 54. Now we will continue with verse number 55. Verse number 55 padinga.
Yadrishtva naparam drishyam yadbhutva na punarbhavaha yajñātvā naparam jñeyam tad brahmetyavadhārayet. Yadrishtva naparam drishyam yadbhutva na punarbhavaha yajñātvā naparam jñeyam tad brahmetyavadhārayet.
Realize that Brahman. Realize that Brahman. Having seen, there is nothing else to be seen. Having become, there is no rebirth. Having known, there is nothing else to be known. Tad brahmetiti avadharayet. Realize that Brahman. Having seen, there is nothing else to be seen. Having become, there is no rebirth. Having known, there is nothing else to be known. Seems to be a repetition of the previous verse. Seems to be a repetition. Previous verse we said body, mind, intellect. This verse we are going to say gross body, subtle body, causal body. So it seems to be a repetition. It is a repetition in the form of reinforcement. A repetition in the form of reinforcement. What is that repetition? Example that he gives is, previous verse said, a particular degree in a university is the highest that one could obtain in the country. Example. This is the highest that you can get. The highest degree, the highest university in the country. 1. This verse is saying there is no other degree anywhere else in the world higher than this also. First is to say this is the best. Second is saying universally this is the best. Because we can say, okay sir, maybe this is the best IIT degree may be best in this country, but there is another university which offers something higher than this. No. Stanford is better. No. Oxford is better. No. Here he is saying not only this is the best here, there is nothing anywhere else also. There is nothing anywhere else also. Previous verse he said, self-realization is the state of absolute perfection beyond the furthest limit of human experience. This verse is saying that there is no possibility that there can be anything better existing anywhere else also. That is the difference. Okay, sir, it is there now, but what happens after I die? Is there anything, can there be anything better than this anywhere else? To negate that, he says, not only this is the best, not only this is the previous verse said this is the best. This verse is saying, not only it is the best, there is nothing higher than that existing anywhere else also. Tat brahmediti avadharayet. Now we will come to the verse. What is the verse? Again the same train. Yad drishtva naparam drishyam. Yad bhutva na punarbhavaha. Yad jnatva naparam jneyam. One by one we will analyze. See, what is it that you need to understand? A rich man feels poor with reference to something higher. That's why the comparison. Mind always works through these comparisons. A rich man feels poor. A rich man feels richer in comparison to what? Somebody who's got something lower. The same rich man feels poorer compared to the same man feels rich in compared to something. The same human being feels poor with reference to something else. Second is, the first logic is this. The second logic is, all children universally have a habit, no? What is the habit? Infants. Children are not 50, 60-year-old children, illa, real infant. They have a habit. What is the habit? What is the habit? The infants. They go, no. What do they do? They suck their thumb, correct? No, I'm not putting my thumb into my thing. It's child doesn't. Lord Krishna sucks his own. Lord Krishna sucks his own toe. When the child is doing that, what is it imagining? You know what the child is imagining there when it sucks? The child is sucking the thumb, mistaking its saliva for the real milk. It mistakes. That's why you can't take it out. You pull it out, it will security. It feels the security. Because when it comes, it is secure. And then the mother comes and says, pull it out. You pull it out, it like a spring, it goes back. And then you have to apply neem oil, castor oil, what all you have to do to make the child get rid of that. Why? And you see that it is in such a bliss sucking its thumb. Such a joy it gets, sucking its own thumb. And you pull it out, the child gets very. Thank God that the child doesn't have a gun. If the child has a gun next to it, you will not be alive because it is so. Psychologically, they say chewing gum has the same effect. Go chew the same thing. What? They go, no? Lollipop. Imagine the child mistaking its own. Something is generating in the child, is swallowing it. That's why it is sucking. You know that? When it is sucking, it generates the saliva and it swallows the saliva. And mistaking it for the mother's milk. Dharma, artha, kama, chasing the world and worldly happiness is exactly like the child deriving the joy from sucking the thumb. So the grown-up, the adults, who is enlightened masters, they come and pull us and they come and pull our thumbs out. And when they do that, when they do that, just as the child gets angry to the parents, we get angry at them. We say, you don't know. What do you think you know of? What do you think? The worldly joys, we are so immersed in that imaginary joy. We are so immersed in that imaginary security. There is no security. There is no joy. But the child is living in that image. Now, when you are pulling the thumb out, why do you want to pull the thumb out? For you want the child to get out of that. You want the child to get out of that imaginary state. That's why you want to do it. No. People say teeth will stick out, that will happen, that will happen. Some vague reasons they give. But the real reason is what? Why do you want the child to drop that habit? Because it is living in some imagination. People say teeth will stick out and this is some worldly reason they give. But what is the real psychological reason? Tragedies, most of the parents themselves don't know why they are doing it. Why? Because you want the child to get out of some imaginary world and live and see the reality. Similarly, we are all like the infants, sucking. What is the thumb? What next? What next? What next? What next? This is not enough. If I get little bit more, it is. If I get little bit more, it's better. If I get little bit more, it's better. If I get little bit more, it keeps happening. It keeps reappearing again and again and again. All worldly knowledges. Third example. First one is, see, all this you have to know the reasonings. The first reasoning is, a human being feels rich or poor not per se. They feel rich or poor only in comparison to the rich or poor the human being feels, not because of his own understanding and growth, not because of one's own contentment. He feels rich or poor only in comparison to, but which is faulty. Are you able to follow? First one. Second is, all pleasures are like the child sucking its thumb, mistaking its own saliva for the mother's milk. Third, all worldly knowledges is avidya. All worldly knowledges is avidya. Why all worldly knowledge is avidya? Because they deal with a non-existing snake. All worldly knowledges are avidya. Why all worldly knowledges are avidya? Because they are trying to deal with the snake that isn't there. Trying to deal with the problem which is not there. There is no problem, but there is an imagination, and worldly knowledges are avidya. Worldly knowledges are ignorance because they deal with the problem which is not there. That's why so many times when people come with the problem, you can't do anything because you say, there is no problem, sir. Prachaniye illa. There is no problem. Where there is no problem, they imagine the problem, and knowledge is used to solve the problem that doesn't exist. Aparavidya is ignorance only. What is knowledge? Knowledge is that which has to independently verify, is there a problem at all in the first place? Is there a problem at all in the first place? Was this problem before a period of time? Will this problem be there after a period of time? Was the situation there before a period of time? Will the situation be there after a period of time? When we analyze it in this manner, we understand that all that we see as problems is not all that we see as problems are not problems at all. So what does knowledge do? Knowledge doesn't solve the problem. Knowledge dissolves the problem. Ramatirtha puts it very beautifully. Vedanta dissolves the questioner. As long as the questioner is there, there will be some questions. What is the question? What next? What next? What next? Dissolve the questioner. Dissolve the questioner, all questions is gone. But what we do, we try to keep the questioner alive and problems solved. Vedanta says, reverse it. Dissolve the questioner and see, is there anything to be solved? Adam Brahma Vidya. Dissolve the questioner. Boldly try this experiment. Even in one generation, if one person tries it, we are lucky to have been born in that generation. if we find one person in a generation doing that, what? Boldly trying to dissolve the questioner and see, does the problem still continue to exist? The person who has this courage, the person who has this boldness, a person who has this strength understands what? The problem doesn't. All along, I have been dealing with the snake that wasn't there in the first place. Illa the snake which wasn't there, we are trying to deal with something which is not there. 2 verses. Yad drishtva naparam drishyam, yad bhutva na punar bhavaha. Yad bhutva na punar bhavaha. Drishyam means, see the word, before I come to the word drishyam, I come to the word aparam. On what basis we gave 2 explanations? We said not only this is the best, there is nothing anywhere else also, we said no. The word aparam means 2. The word aparam means superior. The word aparam means there is nothing that exists which is superior to it at all periods of time anywhere in the world. One is to say this is the best. Another is to say always, at all periods of time, at all places, this is the best, and there cannot be anything. There is not that there cannot be, there is nothing higher than this. A conviction. He is trying to reinforce this saying. Drishyam means seen. Drishyam means, verse number 55. Yeah. Drishyam means seen. That which is gross is seen. That which is gross can be seen. Drishyam means senses. Drishta means that which is perceived through the senses. Adrishta means that which is not perceivable through the senses. So drishyam means through the senses, the gross body. Drishyam is, the word drishyam is a reference to the gross body. The second description is subtle body, knowledge, mind and intellect, subtle body. The third reference to the causal body, where he says no rebirth. Having become, there is no rebirth. A reference to the causal body. Previous verse in relation to the body, the mind, the intellect. In this verse, it is in connection to the gross body, subtle body and causal body. Tat brahmediti avadharayet. Tat brahmediti avadharayet. Tat brahmediti avadharayet. Punar bhavaha. See, what does punar bhavaha means? See, you know, all your struggles is nothing but to become different from what you are now. What is the struggle? All struggles is for what? To become different from what you are now. You may call it as betterment. You may call it as change. You may call it as growth. You may use any word. And don't get carried away by the words that you use and delude yourself. All means what? Every struggle is, all struggles is to become different from what you are now. I am a primary student. I want to get graduated. சும்மா அப்படி போட்டு வச்சுக்கோங்க, left hand side, right hand side. I am now, I want to become. You put it like that. I am now, I am now a primary student. What I want to become? Graduate. I am a graduate. What I want to become? Married. I am married. What I want to become? Narayana. What I want to become? Father. Having the father, become from father. Yeah. Maybe in another 2-3 years, my mind will start. When will I become father-in-law? Yeah, now I am the father. In another 2-3 years, my mind, because my daughter is 19. No, another 2 years, 3 years, my mind will start. So throughout life, what is it? You have a status now, and all your efforts is to, all your struggles is to change the status, thinking that the changed status will bring you, that changed status will bring you satisfaction, happiness. Are you able to follow? That changed status will not bring any change in you. The status keeps changing. Status keeps changing. Throughout life, what is the struggle? Change the status. A child wants to become an adult behaves like a child, isn't it? The child wants to become an adult very soon because child thinks that. Have you ever observed when children play, they all play like adults? Have you ever observed that? They will say, I am the father, you are the mother, you are the uncle, you are the aunt. They play. Why? When they are children, they want to become adults. After becoming an adult, they want to behave like children. Yeah. Struggle, the effort. Remember the law, which is the fallacy of life, which is the foolishness of life, the ignorance of life, is all struggle is to change your status, to become different from what you are now, and that is called as betterment, growth. And in the previous verse we saw that already, whatsoever status you receive, whatsoever status you achieve, whatsoever growth you achieve, what remains? What remains? What next? Now what? Father-in-law, now what? Something else. So from this, what do you understand? From this, what is the understanding? Don't do anything in the hope of getting satisfaction. Do because it ought to be done. Are you able to follow? This is the answer. This is the beauty of knowledge. Do not do anything to get satisfaction. Do not do anything to get satisfaction. Do everything because it ought to be. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jahyohya karmanah. As long as you are alive, you have to keep doing. That's all, Arjuna. Why are you connecting satisfaction to doing? Why are you connecting contentment to doing? Why are you connecting what next to the current? This is what Swamiji beautifully puts as. The future acquisition is connected to the present happiness. He says, never pitch your present happiness to a future acquisition. Primary student believes graduation. A graduate believes job. The person in job believes marriage. The person in marriage believes children, and now settlement of children. And the children says, one side says, I want to go to Australia. Another child says, I want to go to New Zealand. Another child says, I want to go to Antarctica. You say, get married and go wherever you want. The child says, what nonsense, I will do all that later. The discontentment always. See. What is the solution? Vedanta says, human struggle will end in self-discovery. All your struggles will come to an end only when you discover yourself. Tat brahmetiti avadarayet. Are you able to connect now? Tat brahm, all struggles will come to an end the moment the self-discovery happens. What is the self-discovery? I was, I am, I will be Brahman. That's self-discovery. What is self-discovery? I was, I am, I will be Brahman. Having become Brahman, nothing more in life, because there is nothing superior after that. Are you able to connect now? Having become Brahman, nothing more in life to become. After that, there is nothing to become. And such a wrong knowledge in the name of motivation, in the name of growth, in the name of this, the whole world is and the wrong education travels faster than Vedantic true knowledge. Gossips, rumors spread faster than the truth, no? Rumors spread faster than the truth. False knowledge becomes faster than the truth. Yeah. See, look at the false knowledge. Borrowing is the way to grow in life. The false knowledge has spread so fast and so deep in everybody that everybody is convinced that this is the right way to grow. What is the right way to grow? Borrow. Borrow. You follow? The right knowledge doesn't spread so fast, so deep. Why? Because that effort has to be done. I am not at ease with myself now is samsara. Remember this. This is samsara. I am not at ease with myself is the disease called samsara, and this samsara is the source of all that. Are you able to follow? What is it that I am not at ease with myself? A primary student wants to become the graduate wants the job, the person in job wants to get married, the person who got married wants a child, and the person who's gotten a child wants their children to get settled. Yeah. Bachelor's degree in America was a big problem. Ravi. Now she has got the bachelor's, now master's. Say nothing, same discussion. Clear? Yeah, same discussion. When are we meeting, Ravi? We are meeting, no? We are meeting. Say nothing, no new discussion, same discussion. Why? Discontentment then, discontentment now. What is knowledge? Tad brahmetiti avadharayet. Tad brahmetiti avadharayet. Know this to be Brahman. Having become Brahman, there is nothing more to become. Why these three equipments, body, mind, intellect? Because samsara manifests in these three. What are the three? Physical samsara. What is physical samsara? No house. First I had a problem, no house. Now, and then I had a problem, no car. I got a house, I got a car. It didn't stop. Nothing. Something else will come tomorrow. That is physical. What next? What next? What next? Emotional. What is emotional? No one loves me, sir. I have no friends. No one loves me. Nobody to wish me on my birthday. Nobody to wish me on my death day. These are all emotional. Yeah. Even when I die also, yarum varmatanga, sir. I have to go alone only. Even when I die, nobody will come with me. Huh? These are all emotional samsara. Loneliness. Samsara at the level of the intellect. What? No doubts. All might Veda Anta. End of knowledge. That's why it's called Vedanta. Samsara at the level of the intellect is cleared. All this Vedanta takes care. Veda Anta. The end of knowledge. Meaning all doubts and indecisiveness and questions comes to an end. What is freedom from samsara? I don't care if others care for me or not. I care for others. You are free from samsara. Again I repeat. I don't care whether others care for me or not. What do? I care. But what they do in return, that is their problem. Why should I be concerned about it? Are you able to follow? You take these kind of, and you develop this kind of understanding. You are free from physical inadequacy. You are free from emotional loneliness. You are free from intellectual incompleteness. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet. Again I repeat. Physical inadequacies, emotional loneliness, intellectual incompleteness. All this goes out. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet. May you clearly know the nature of Brahman as said in verses 54 and 55 for today. Next class, 56 and 57. For next 10 verses, he is going to say the same thing. Know the nature of Brahman. Know the nature of Brahman. And wherever we discuss the nature of Brahman, I try to connect it with something to our current life and see how we can use this to get to the knowing. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet. Know this Brahman as revealed in the Shastra. Know this Brahman as enumerated in verses 54 and 55. What is it that is enumerated? Not only this is the highest, there is nothing higher than this that will be available anywhere else also. In the past, in the present, in the future, this is the highest. I was Brahman. I am Brahman. I will be Brahman. There is no Brahman becoming better. Sir, Ade Brahman aranda eppadi sir? Brahman also, how can it be the same Brahman? Brahman also has to become better, no? What Shankaracharya's enlightenment of Brahman and Ramana Maharshi's enlightenment of Brahman has to be better, no? Because Ramana Maharshi has learned little bit from Shankaracharya. And we have learned from Shankaracharya, Ramana Maharshi and all these great masters. Therefore, our experience of enlightenment is slightly better than theirs. Will it be like that? Would it be like that? No. Yajñātva nāparam jnānam, yajñātva nāparam jnēyam, yadlābha nāparam labam, yadrishva nāparam drishyam. This is the meaning. Are you able to follow? It is the same. The experience of Brahman who can articulate is the same. The experience of Brahman who cannot articulate is the same. The experience of Brahman remains the same in the past, in the present, and in the future. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet. With this, we conclude verse number 55. Next session, we continue with verse number 56 onwards. As I said in the beginning, don't worry, the next 10 verses is going to talk about the same words will repeat. Tat brahmet iti avadharayet, tat brahmet iti avadharayet. Meaning, realize this to be Brahman. Realize this to be Brahman. Know this to be Brahman. Know this to be Brahman. Some verses will take some explanations. Some verses are just attributes. When attributes are just given, we'll just read through that. We'll just read through that because there's nothing much to, it is for Nididhyasana, nothing much to elaborate in the way that we could take up something and elaborate it in the way that we tried today. With this, we conclude for today.
One clarification.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize. There is a clarification. Yar clarification? Vijay. Vijay. Oh, you are alive. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize. Vijay. What guidance should Mullaji should have asked when he could not handle the mice? In the Mullah Nasruddin story, you are referring to that Mullah Nasruddin story, no?
Yes, Acharya.
Yeah. Mullah Nasruddin woke up. You know the story. I'm not repeating that story. Yeah? All the family, the wife, the children, all of them came into existence because of him not knowing how to handle one rat. If he had handled that rat, none of this would have come. What should Mullah done? Yeah. Transcend the affectation caused by the rat. How do I transcend the affectation caused by the rat rather than asking how do I handle the rat? See, there are two ways. One is I can handle the rat. Another is I can ask how do I handle my affectation because of the rat. All of us ask one question. What is the question that all of us ask? How do I handle the rat? Rat handle பண்றதுக்கு cat. இல்லையா? Our giant intellect, the greatest builder. I was about to say destroyer, builder. Ganesh was asked for an advice. A lot of rats are there, what to do? Ganesh said, have a cat. When you have a rat as a problem, what is the solution? Have a cat. Are you able to follow? So one solution is how do I handle the rat? What question? Another question is how do I handle the affectation in me because of the rat? Vedanta says ask the right question. Don't come and ask how do I handle the rat, because rat kona cat will come. If cat goes, cow will come. If cow goes, wife will come. If wife goes, children will come. At one point of time, you will have so much to handle. Yeah. Now, okay, did all this remove that rat? No. For rat also multiplied. Yeah. So instead of handling one, he is handling 5. This is what a consultant will do. MBA to complicate life like this only, you have to study MBA in Harvard, Stanford. Consultants, giant intellects will do that. What? Rat will remain, cat they will create, and cat will remain, and cow will remain, everything will remain. What is the other way of dealing? Vedantic way. What question Mullah should have asked? Right question. What is the right question? How do I handle the affectation of the rat? First I handle my affectation, and then if necessary, I will handle the rat also. Remember that. Vedanta is not saying ignore the rat. Vedanta says, first learn to handle your affectation because of the rat. After having handled your affectation because of the rat, if necessary, handle the rat too. But don't put the cart before the horse. Don't handle the rat and then handle your affectation. Handle your affectation first and then the rat. Vijay, okay, va? Did I answer your question? What is the right question Mullaji should have asked? Mullaji should have asked, let the rat be there. First teach me how do I handle my affectation. A, B, C. This is the way you can handle my affectation. Do you still need, do you still feel the need? Do you still understand that? Is there a need to handle the rat? Yes, handle the rat also. No issues. But handle the rat unaffected. Don't handle the rat affected. Handle the rat from the angle of strength. Do not handle the rat from the angle of weakness. Handle the rat with strength. Don't handle the rat with weakness. That's what Vedanta says. Did I answer you, Pa? Is it okay? Yeah. With this we conclude for today, and we continue next week with verse number 56 onwards.